Now we're going to switch gears a little bit here, though, and talk about the grandparent scam, which I feel is something that we kind of just keep hoping is going to go away, and yet it keeps coming back. Not only is it still around, it's actually gotten worse. It's on the rise in Quebec and across the country. So far, $9.2 million has been stolen from Canadians. Quebecers, just last year alone, $732,000. We rank third, by the way, in terms of falling prey to this scam, behind Ontario and Alberta. John ARMIT is a law enforcement liaison officer with the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, and he joins us now. Thanks for your time today, John.
Thanks for having me.
So, rather than me explaining how the grandparent scam work, perhaps you could just, I think we all know it, but maybe you can give us a Coles Notes version of how grandparents are being scammed.
So I'll back up just a little bit. Our Canadian Fraud Centre has had $530 million in reported losses this year in 2022, and that's up 40% from 2021. So grandparent scam is just one of the many frauds we look at the Anti-Fraud Centre. This particular scam is called the emergency scam. So the grandparent scam falls under that. And what it is, they're targeting our vulnerable seniors that have landlines. So they're calling these elderly people up and they're pretending to be, your grandson or a relative. And they muffle their voice and they say, hey, grandma, grandpa, it's Jean, Frank or whomever. And, they say, we're in jail. We've been in an accident. We've run into someone who's pregnant. Maybe the car had drugs in it, what have you. We need bail money, and I'm going to pass you to the police officer. And so the scammer plays a bunch of roles and says, we need bail money to get her to jail. And so then they'll try and facilitate the senior getting money out of their financial institution, and they'll send couriers physically to these elderly persons' homes. So they play on the emotions and they play on the manipulation of people's emergency to try and help with their family members.
As I hear you describe this, I'm thinking to myself, we have done this story at least 2 or 3 times, and I begin to wonder, and I said this as our introduction before you came on, John, how has this message not gotten through? This is something we've been talking about literally for at least a year, maybe longer, yet it continues to be a problem. What's not working here?
I think the challenge is the demographic we're looking at. We're seeing people between 65 and 95 that are the target victims in this, and they don't have social media. They may not listen to podcasts or news shows as prolific as some other people are. So with our initiative that we have, we partner with the RCMP, the Ontario Police, and police in Quebec to try and put out an initiative of fraud awareness. So we're asking people that may be listening, contact your family members that are elderly, let them know about this scam. We also say, come up with a code word that only your family members know if there is a sense of something's happening and they need to get a hold of you right away for an emergency. And, we're trying to put this out through print media, through radio interviews like this, through national news, to try and get it out there because, it's targeting our grandparents and our elderly, and they're the most vulnerable.
Yes, the RCMP and the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, we'll just mention, is holding a fraud prevention campaign. It started on the 6th of February. It continues to the 10th to try to raise awareness about this and prevent people from getting scammed. I feel like, John, a lot of the time when we get these calls, and I'm not a grandparent, but I'm not falling prey to this particular scam, but everybody's phone rings all the time, and you just like erase or hang up or maybe block the call at most, but we don't report it. How important is it to report these scams?
It's very important, and I love your tips. Like, if you get a suspicious call and you don't know who they are, hang up. You're not out any money. You're not out any time. Call your local police and contact that family member directly. The important thing about contacting your police of jurisdiction or the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre, we recommend both, is that the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre turns around, takes this information, and lets all the other police services know what is going on, what are the trends, and then we can turn around and put a fraud prevention campaign out to warn the people. We're also saying never send cash, cryptocurrency, gift cards, any of these funds to unverified addresses or to people that you don't know. That's the biggest trick to this. But again, if you get these calls, hang up. The other thing we want to mention is the criminal courts in Canada don't ask for cash, and we would never send anyone in the justice system to your house to pick up that cash. So just know that you have to be in custody. Someone in custody, you have to have someone attend court on their behalf, and you never give money out. You give a promise of money to be a surety of someone in police custody.
By the way, so when you say to an unspecified address, you should not be sending money to a P.O. box or something like that, right?
Yeah, what we're seeing is the first time a victim is hit and asks for the money, someone will physically come. The second time when they're asking for more money, they'll ask the seniors to send a package, and they'll be very specific on how it gets sent out to an address. And these addresses we're finding to be rental properties, Airbnbs. The other thing is we want to get out is if you know somebody who's operating these what we call boiler rooms or part of this, please contact your police, Crime Stoppers. Let us know. We really want to get to the bottom of this and find out who's targeting our vulnerable seniors.
Hope people are listening again. I would hate to be doing this story over and over again, but yes, this is a week. I know you're spending extra time making the extra effort to let people know this grandparent scam is not still out there. It actually seems to be getting bigger. John, thanks so much. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, John.
Well, thanks for focusing on the story.
John ARMIT over at the Canadian Anti-Fraud Centre. And as I said, this has been and continues to be a big problem. To Natasha's point, the best advice, hang up the phone. If you don't recognize who they are, hang up.